Welcome to Genuine Humans, exploring the stories behind the great marketing leaders of our time and hearing how their journeys have influenced the brands they've built. Brought to you by The Social Element, here are our hosts, Tamara Littleton, CEO and founder, and Wendy Christie, Chief People Officer.
Wendy and I are delighted to be joined today by Amber Kirby, a senior brand-led marketer with a CV that it reads like a who's who of super brands, to be honest. So P&G, Boots, Virgin Holidays, and most recently Eurostar. Welcome, Amber.
Hi.
Now, Amber, I'm just kind of going to jump straight in because you actually once told me that a career questionnaire that you took at school recommended you become an auctioneer. Do you regret not going down that path?
Well, first, I'm not really sure why they said auctioneer. It wasn't one that comes directly to mind, is it? But I guess I was energetic, chatty, showed a great command of being able to talk too fast. But I know I don't regret not being an auctioneer. Definitely love the career that you just explained I've had so far. And I'm pretty confident that the auctioneering community haven't really missed my presence either.
So, I mean, it is an amazing career that you've had so far. What actually inspired you to get into marketing? Do you want to just kind of share a bit of the journey with us?
It's funny, isn't it? Because no one really grows up thinking, you know what I really want to be? I want to be a marketer or work in marketing or do that stuff there. So for me, I guess if you roll back, it was when I was at uni having no directional career path set at all and probably just partying a little bit too much. But I went to Leeds University and I did a course economics. I wasn't super passionate about it, but I'd made it quite a broad one. So it was during a course it was a marketing module, in fact, that I was doing. And nearby to Leeds, Procter & Gamble actually have an office. And what they'd done is they'd sent two guys over to my university and they were delivering this guest lecture for me and my kind of like 400 other kind of business studies, economicsy students. And so they came along, it was like a Wednesday, whatever, nothing was happening. And then they started to talk about the launch of Sunny Delight. Now, I don't know whether you or anyone else listening remembers Sunny Delight.
I do remember it.
It's full of sugar. It's an ambient drink. It's just orange sugar in a bottle. But the way that they talked about this launch of Sunny Delight was just absolutely fascinating and incredible from not just like a human behavior and psychology perspective, but just kind of the advertising that they created. These two guys were, I don't know, they were passionate, they were funny. It felt like you wanted to kind of like meet them down the pub as well. And it was just at the same time that Sunny Delight had that famous advert where the snowmen turned orange. There was the PR disaster about, the kid turning orange for drinking so much. And they were talking about how they were dealing with this as well as how they thought about the launch of Sunny Delight in the first place, which was just amazing because they launched it in fridges to make it look like a fresh orange. It's not. They positioned it just directly underneath Coke as a little bit of a better alternative for the mum to feed the kids, but obviously it tasted tangy, fresh and exciting for the kids. And at the end of the day, it was just a soft drink, but they made it sound thrilling and smart. And then at the end of it, they said that P&G offered summer internships, which was interesting. Even more interesting when they mentioned that you got actually paid quite a lot of money and you got a bar.
You were hooked.
I was definitely hooked on the idea of trying out this internship in P&G. And so, I applied. I was lucky enough to get selected as one of the marketing interns for that summer. So I moved to Surrey. They told me it was London, but it totally wasn't. They're based in Weybridge, which, if anyone knows where it is, it's...
I was brought up in Weybridge. It's definitely not London.
It's lovely, but it's not central London. But I was hooked anyway, right? I was in and I got my car. And my job then for that summer, 2002 or whatever it was to launch Ion's pet food into the retail market, into Morrison's, Tesco's, etc.
What, straight away, that was your first job? That is pretty cool.
They said it was a real job that you get. It's not just photocopying and following people around. And they bloody meant it, because I joined in June and in September it was launching, and I was the only assistant brand manager. My job was to quickly create a radio campaign, a PR campaign, all sorts of stuff that you would have thought somebody like P&G had already in the bag. But no, that was my job that summer. And somehow I scraped by. Somehow I managed to do it, even though I was 20 years old, bad suit, no idea what I was doing, trying to make head and tail of this stuff. And I had quite a big budget. So at the time I had a few £100,000 to do these things. And I'd never even seen that many noughts. It was just like, wow. They obviously thought something went well. They liked me. They offered me a full-time job. And then the rest is history, I guess.
Fantastic. What an incredible start, actually. Because it's like they're such a well-known company. P&G are so good for the training and giving you that whole good start. So it's like, yeah, incredible.
It was pretty cool. I was excited.
So let's go back a bit, Amber, and talk about what led up to all this. And can we start with Amber, the child? So what were you like when you were little?
Oh, a handful. I was one of those really annoying kids, I think, that was quite energetic, quite curious, and full of a bunch of questions. And I do remember my mum, she bought me, she just went out and bought me like the full Encyclopedia Britannica, because I was just asking so many questions. So just one day it arrived, and then boom, there you go, Amber. Amuse yourself with that.
Keep quiet.
Exactly. It's the heaviest thing I'd ever known when I was like 7. And I guess I was brought up in Sheffield, so I just feel like I was outside all the time. I loved playing football on my street. We moved to like a modern suburbia, so I lived on a close where, there weren't any cars kind of going down, so the kids were just like rolling around everywhere, playing football there, and I was out on my bike a lot. Probably the early signs of competitiveness kind of kicking in. I used to kind of see how fast I could cycle around the lake. It was quite a few miles, and I would just whiz around and then try and beat my time. But if I think back about what I was doing as a kid, I was quite naughty. I was in places that my mum didn't know I was in, like in the woods making a den, or finding an old abandoned building and kind of scurrying around that, and then later on, clubbing, maybe a little bit too young.
Yeah, there's the advantage of not having social media back in the day.
Massive advantage.
That's a very good
I was
point.
at Jenny's house.
That sounds a bit familiar. So was that internship you had at P&J, was that your first job, or had you done anything before then?
No, my first job was with Jenny. Not even had a paper round each because of safety concerns. I don't know why, but we shared a paper round,
Right.
Which meant that we got the grand total of £3 a week each. I've no idea why I got out of bed for this. That was my first job, and then I progressed to actually working in the newsagent. So I started I can't even believe I did this. 4:00 in the morning I used to start. Wow. Even on a school day, yeah, I used to kind of receive the papers, get them sorted out, and then finish off, do a round, and then go to school. I was pretty sleepy in the afternoon, to be honest.
I bet, because that is the middle of the night.
It is the middle of the night, which was handy for when I went clubbing, because I would just go straight to work. That really helpful.
So probably projecting forward a little bit, what's the hardest thing that you've ever had to do in your career?
Hard stuff in careers are always to do with people, aren't they? So at least they are for me. So if I think back through all those hardest moments, it normally isn't making a tough business decision per se. It's making quite an emotional decision, and it could be something smaller, like giving somebody some tough feedback, maybe that that they don't want to hear, and trying to help them open up and accept that, because it's for the greater good of them. But how do you phrase it? What's the kind of kickback going to be? How do you open that conversation? That's quite hard. And then bigger scale, I guess, possibly doing my biggest and first restructure of an organisation. Yeah, I did that at Boots. Quite a few people, and I did it all the way through from design through to the person that was sat interviewing them to kind of re-interview for their own jobs again to get back into the organisation. And that's super tough when you know that some of them, they don't make it, and you know that they really want to, but it's just it doesn't work out from a kind of capability match perspective.
Yeah.
But giving them that news kind of face to face is possibly the hardest thing that I've ever done. It takes quite a toll, actually. So anyone listening that's been through a restructure, the best thing I found is we found other people to lean on. So the kind of peer group of people at director level it was at the time, but it doesn't have to be. It can be at any level. People that you talk to, people that go through the journey with you, people outside of it, so you get a bit of a breather as well from it, because I didn't realise how much it would take from me emotionally, and then actually also physically. I felt really physically drained from it because I was invested in it myself. I really wanted to make it work, and I really wanted to make it work for the people coming along, and also for the people leaving. And that's almost too many things to do as one human being to make it work for absolutely everybody in every single situation. And needed people around me to talk to, let off a little bit of steam at the end of the day and kind of have a beer with, but also to kind of share how you're feeling, because I did, and it really, really helped.
I always figure that if you didn't feel sad and emotional about it and drained, then there is something wrong as well. So I think it's one of those things that, especially if you're in a people business, as many of us are, that's what happens when you have to sort of break bad news. But I think it would be more worrying if it was a bit blasé, for example. So
I really liked what you said there about sharing it with other people as well, because I think the thing that it's easy to forget is that you need your energy to move forward, and the people who stay need to be looked after every much as the people who don't. There is that survivor's guilt sometimes as well to support people through that's quite difficult.
The funny thing is, people. So I remember from that, the people that didn't stay with us, it was for a reason. And actually, at the time, they might have felt it was either harsh or they weren't prepared for it themselves. But having kept in touch with many of them, they went on to new, different, and arguably, in most cases, I think better things, because they found their feet in a place where they were really fully appreciated for the great things that they could offer. Because when you're trying to squeeze in or be that person, be that role that isn't quite as naturally easy for you, it's just so much effort as well. So it never really works out. But the news is hard to take at the time, right? And it's hard to deliver it. It's hard to take. But it's just like many things. Time is a wonderful healer, and it could be 2 weeks later and these people are skipping down the street thinking, oh, thank goodness, because now I can pursue this or set up my own bead company, or all sorts of stuff happen from people harbouring different dreams.
Yes. And so thinking of the people that you've worked with over the years, has there been one in particular who's really been influential in your career?
Everyone remembers first bosses, don't they? Because it's just you're so young, you're fresh-faced, and you're just ready to absorb anything. So I always remember my first kind of couple of bosses at P&G and the things that they've taught me. So I started working for this guy called John Roscoe, and he was just incredible. He helped me be a no-flap, calm person in a crisis, because he was just a don at this. I just saw everyone milling around, and we worked on the P&G laundry business, which at the time, probably worth loads more now, at the time was worth £500 million, and we're rolling back now like nearly 20 years. And he really taught me a couple of things. One, things can be really simplified. He was one of the smartest people I know, but the way that he just distilled everything to 3 points, I don't even know how he did it, but he just really got the nugget of the challenge each and every single time. And the other thing he taught me is you can work most stuff out roughly, directionally, in your head.
Right.
That classic kind of couple of bits of maths, things that you know. Is this something that you can pursue, or is it not something that you can pursue? he would work that out really quickly and then just make priority calls super quick. I've never got there. I'm nowhere near as good as John Roscoe, but I like to think sometimes when everyone's running around like a bit of a headless chicken, I just channel the be more John and just go, right, hang on. Let's be a bit more Yorkshire about this. What is the bloody nugget at the beginning of this complex thing that people are panicking about, or the shit's hit the fan or whatever? And let's just think about what's really at the core of it. So yeah, John Roscoe, be more John.
He sounds great.
You're definitely calm in a crisis. That's what I know about you. So he's done a good job. It's funny actually. I dread to think what my bosses think of me, because these formative bosses are so important. But I think I was just a real pain in the arse, because I was always going in and demanding promotions and sort of trying to sort of say, I've done something really great. Can I have a promotion, please? So it's funny actually to sort of think back, but it sounds like he had an amazing impact on you.
Actually, the other thing that he did was, I was maybe the opposite of you, Tamara, and I don't know, many people will probably be the opposite. They do some great stuff and they don't know how to talk about it, or they don't know whether it's good enough. They feel a bit shy about it. And John also did say to me quite a few times, he was like, but you did that, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I did it with Gareth, the other assistant manager. And well, yeah, but that's what we're meant to do, isn't it? It's like, yeah, but you thought of that. Stand up for your ideas, be proud, and you think it's normal, maybe because you did it either easily or it just seemed obvious to you. It's like, not everything that you've done is really obvious to everybody else. So maybe be a bit more Tamara then.
I don't know. I think I was like that when I was younger, and then it kind of melted away and then it comes back again. So
yeah, be a bit more feisty, be a bit more proud of what you've done.
Do you know what? That's a lovely segue, though, to just talking about being proud, because I mentioned that, you have worked with some incredible brands. Choosing any that you like, what was the biggest impact on a brand that you were proud of?
Oh, man, there's been so many. There's probably, can I have two?
Of course you can.
I worked on Pringles for a few years, and I worked both in the UK and I worked in Switzerland. It's a P&G brand, or was at the time. And the biggest impact I had on Pringles was one that you won't know about, and the second is what you see today. And what you don't know about is that I stopped Pringles launching a bag. And instead of keeping in the wonderful can, the iconic red can that they have today, the Pringles team, the innovation team, the global ones, they wanted to launch Pringles in a bag. And as the UK person, I was like, that is the worst possible brand idea I've ever heard of, completely kicking out the door, all the USPs, all the wonderful things about Pringles, and trying to launch it in a bag. So I think the proudest thing I did was stop that. And then also the problem that they were trying to achieve was it was losing customers a little bit, losing a consumer base, and it was getting a bit old. And instead injected a bit of youth back into Pringles, redesigned the whole pack, launched big extreme flavors, started all the football stuff, the links with Keepy Uppy Pringles, and the stereo promotions they used to do back in the day for festivals, where you got a little speaker that fitted on top of the Pringles can and made your own kind of little ghetto blaster. But yeah, just making Pringles cool again, because hopefully I embraced everything that Pringles really stood for and found the DNA of the brand and the core of it and went with that.
It takes a lot of courage, and also being so focused on the brand to take that hard route, because it would have been presumably a lot easier to say, yeah, that's a great idea, let's go with the bag. But to actually have the confidence to say, I don't think this is a great idea. In fact, I demand that we shelve this.
It did. And, P&G is quite a data-driven company. So you've got to figure out, where are you and how can you influence the decisions? Because me just kind of shouting away about how bad a idea I thought it was, especially because they've chosen the IAMS bag to launch it in, and a royal purple colour, and they called it Pringles Select. Please Google it. It looked like a cat food bag, but it did to the UK customer, not necessarily to the wider global audience. And so that was me, a little bit of a lonely voice, but from a big, crisp consumption nation saying this stuff. So I had to bring a lot of data, a lot of rational stuff to the table as well. But it's a case of know your audience, isn't it? And wasn't easy because there was lots of higher P&G guys, bosses who put their careers and launching into this bag.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the company's there to make money and drive growth. And if you can prove that you've got a better way to do it, not just stopping stuff. I didn't just stop the launch of the Pringles bag. We demonstrated ways to actually grow the can business, get it more youthful again, become a cool brand, get in the cool brands books, and have a higher customer base, then that's what they're really looking for.
Fantastic. Well, that's brilliant. What's the second one then?
Second one is when I was at Boots, you might not know it, but they've got a portfolio of brands, which is about 4,500 different SKU lines, because there's a Boots product for absolutely everything. But it was, when we arrived, the most unloved portfolio of stuff thrown together, and some of it untouched for decades. That it had been in 7 years of decline, 7 years. So the team working on it just felt a bit demoralized, didn't have a big direction. And for me, it was the Boots product portfolio is like a legacy business for the UK. You know, people love Boots. I loved Boots. That's why I couldn't wait to work there. And then to be the person that was in charge of the Boots product portfolio and seeing how unloved it had been for so many years, what I'm really proud of is unearthing the little hero in every product, revamping them, rebranding them, repurposing them, putting them right in the center of the shelves and giving them a little proud role in each of the categories. And also with that team, like reinvigorating the role of the Boots lineup in the context of your L'Oreals, your P&Gs and Unilevers and everyone else, all the other suppliers on the shelf as well, because, wow, they've got some incredible products as well. And each one's got a beautiful little story, a little history behind it. And there are super fans out there for some of the Boots products. You know, there's a £1 curl cream that people swear by. I don't myself have curly hair, but it's £1 and it works and people go crazy for this stuff. The waterproof plasters are the only ones that like literally genuinely stick still underwater. And, you know, it was a proud moment when we suddenly got that hockey stick, you know, that bit where you hit the bottom and you're up. And you're seeing the team's faces when that scorecard, everyone's got a scorecard, it went green for like the first time in many of their careers. And just those little boosters then set it on the right path. And so that, you know, a proper business turnaround is something I'm also really proud of.
Do you still remain very, very kind of connected to all of the brands that you've worked on over the years?
Yes, I have collections of them in my house.
I had a feeling you might say that.
It's nice to feel passionate about what you're working on because, and genuinely so as well, because just makes the whole rest of it quite easy. Because I'm passionate about electric toothbrushes. Yes, I do still consume quite a lot of Pringles, you know, and I'm really passionate about the Boots story and the Boots business as well. And then moving into travel, that's an easy move, right? To move into something that offers like life-changing, memorable, indelible moments in people's lifetimes. You know, I can feel really proud about what I've delivered on each one of the brands that I've been really, really honoured to touch.
Yeah. They stay with you. I mean, they are, as you say, the brand stories. I know starting up the agency, every time we won new clients, I would buy products from that clients and kind of start collecting things. It did get to the point, though, that when I was trying to buy Pampers in the supermarket and I don't actually have children, and my girlfriend was kind of like, why are you buying Pampers? It's like, maybe I'm taking it a little bit too far here. But yeah, they do. They just get you, these brands, don't they?
Well, you should worry. I mean, Boots have an excellent range of incontinence pads. So can you imagine when I was trying out those products?
So, as you know, though, at the Social Element, we're obsessed about helping brands have a genuine human connection with their consumers. How have you managed to create connections between your brand and customers, and again, any brand that you've worked on?
Well, I think I started to talk about travel, and I was really, really lucky to work at Virgin Holidays. And it's one of those things, right? You know, Virgin gives you a call and it's like, wow, as a marketer, this is for many people one of those brands that instantly gets the heart pumping and you're excited. It's one that you think, wow, to be part of that massive red engine, won't that be incredible? And so working at Virgin Holidays was fantastic, but I actually saw underneath some of it wasn't actually all in place in terms of the magic that it was driving. So as a quick example, Virgin Holidays, the average purchase of Virgin Holidays is like £5,500. And it is not your super rich customer that kind of buys this. This is, more of your average salaried kind of person. Yeah. So £5,500 is massive for anybody. And of course, it's that because it's mostly long haul. So people go really far, Barbados, Disneyland. My goodness, my eyes water at the cost of families going across to Disney World. But what I saw was that from a CRM journey, Virgin didn't really look after the customers. The holiday was magic, right? The flight is out of this world. The Virgin Atlantic flight is one of the best and most well looked after places you can be. Customer service is just second to none, and it's intuitive and it's genuine from the people that they hire. But the rest of the time, I don't think Virgin really lived up to its magical name because it's £5,500. People saved up for years and they would pay it off like bit by bit. And what we realised is we owned the kind of journey with Virgin started way before the holiday, like a year and a half before the holiday. And actually at the time, I was working with a guy called Saul Lopez, and he and the CRM team were amazing because they transformed it from what was genuinely random PDFs. We really saw a Comic Sans typeface going out to the customer. I'm not even joking.
No.
And it was just unhinged and not tied up together. And it was like bits and bobs from Victoria in the shop where they bought the holiday, or an automatically generated one email from the central team. And it was just not glued together. So instead, we transformed it into the journey of anticipation that the customer really had. And you've got to respect that they were possibly giving you a lifetime's worth of savings to go away on this holiday. So looking after them from the very moment that decision started and sharing joy with them all the way through, consistent and in a really proper Virgin way, not a bit like typed out by Victoria from the shop, but really delivered with all of the anticipation and glory that people have in their hearts before they even get on the flight. That's what we really changed. And then cushioning them when they came back down because, oh my goodness, we realized that, there's holiday blues, but there's a massive thump when you come back down from your holiday of a lifetime. And then what do you look forward to? So we tried to elongate those kind of connected moments after the holiday as well. Of course, we're hoping they book again. But at the end of the day, we'd like them to really kind of, capture a little box of that memory in their heart and tell everyone else about it as well. So customer service doesn't finish just because they've taken the flight home. It goes on all the way after that, which was really nice to make a big change.
Well, on behalf of the customers, I thank you, because all I know is that as soon as we can fly again and book holidays, I'm definitely going to Virgin for my holiday because I think their experience is like amazing. So good job. So shifting gear a little bit, how would you define your leadership style?
Probably quite full of ease, envisioning, engaging, energetic, and then approachable. I like to be on the journey with the team and thread myself kind of through that, but really set out the goal and an aspirational goal that we're trying to get to as well. I am genuinely known for being quite energetic and spurring people on towards that, just because, like I said, I like to be really part of it. And I want to make sure that everyone can come and approach me with good or tough stuff, because I think it should all really be voiced. And so if I don't understand the beating heart of the team and what's going on there, then I'm detached as a leader, which means I can't lead, because leadership is just influence, really. And all I want to do is influence and guide the people actually that can do the jobs and do the roles to be kind of a team really together to kind of get there, because I can't do digital marketing. I can't code. I can't create media plans. I can't think of the most exciting new ideas. Other people can, and I can help them get there. So that's probably how I describe it.
And that style of leadership, I know obviously the pandemic has been so hard for so many companies where they haven't been used to working from home, and then suddenly there's been a shift in the teams. Did you learn anything about leading a team during the pandemic that you'll be able to take to your next role?
Yeah, we were really lucky that we had invested a lot in. We built a team at Eurostar. It had grown quite significantly, almost doubling in size in the year before. So as we welcomed almost like new departments, like data and insights team, and we broadened out, I had personally created and invested quite a lot in the team to bond and collaborate and get to know each other beforehand. So to be honest, one of the tough things we found out is that we really were thankful for that, but it's hard to recreate in a non-contact world. So what I will take forward is when we are allowed to be a bit more together, that I will continue to do what I did anyway, but with just even more foresight that there might be times we can be less connected, to try and create that elsewhere. Because I will be honest, I've tried so many other tricks whilst we've been on screens and online, but I know from new members onto my team that we welcomed during coronavirus that they felt super welcomed, but it just was it's never the same as being able to be a team together, whether it's team events, away days. They sound cheesy, but we were resting on that as we went through a really tough crisis, still ongoing at Eurostar, for survival and to help these millions of passengers that suddenly were thrown up in the air by a pandemic that I definitely don't want to use the word unprecedented, but we didn't have any plans for it, right? We had no systems to back it up either. So I tell you, the people behind the scenes in travel in particular and hospitality, we've knitted together stuff through tech, yeah, but just through conversation and trying to work stuff out and trying to be really human as we're trying to help out everybody whilst not going bust at the same time. It's been really tough, and it's rested on openness that we had, because I've had to ask people to work really hard, long hours in tough situations where they're working from home with kids and family. It's been a long haul.
Obviously, as a business, we're used to working from home all the time and having to build those connections online. But I think one of the challenges for us, or one of the factors for us, has been that our team who are used to doing that are also now conducting their social life and their family life largely behind screens as well.
Yeah. It doesn't last long, does it? I mean, when was the last time you did a Zoom quiz?
Yes, I'm so over Zoom quizzes.
Because it works for so long. So what I fully believe in is that the way that we will work in the future will be much more screen-based and remote, but it will never be 100%, because you do, just like we cannot wait to travel, you can't wait to smell, to feel the atmosphere of a city, have a cappuccino somewhere in Italy, or have a croissant in Paris, or just kind of discover a new and incredible beach in Turkey. It feels different, and you can visit all of these places on Zoom, and it's the same for people as well. It's wonderful that you can pick up a Skype call or a Teams call to anyone at any time and see their face, but you don't get the whole atmosphere of that coffee shop conversation or that glass of wine after work, or just that buzz of a innovation session or a planning session and bouncing off people. The Zoom breakout rooms and Teams, all this kind of stuff, I think we're all muddling by rather than creating awesome.
Yeah, we are very social animals at our core, and even the most introverted people that I've met are craving face-to-face contact with people.
So speaking of personal, we're moving on to the part of the podcast now where we are going to get a little bit more personal, Amber. I hope that's okay.
Sure.
So we'll start with, what's your idea of a perfect weekend?
I think it's changed quite a lot with coronavirus, because I guess my answer to you before would have been like, a perfect weekend might have been like filled with friends. We might be going away this time of year, might be a skiing holiday, lots of partying, rushing down the slopes, sunshine, all this kind of stuff. And to be honest now, it's probably changed because I don't want my expectations to be too high.
Right.
So my perfect weekend is ones that I can achieve, I guess, because then that feels really nice. So getting up early, a frosty morning, going out. I'm in Yorkshire at the moment, so going out to Yorkshire exploring the dales, the fields, and kind of like taking lots of Instagrammable moments and soaking that all up and coming back for a nice big chicken roast dinner, a mini twister or five, and a nice wood burner.
That sounds perfect.
God, I sound about 80, but
See, and I felt this myself, and I think I see it on social as well. I think people seem to be appreciating the beauty of their natural, where they live, a
Yeah.
lot more. And I don't know why, and maybe we're just getting out more locally because we can't go further than that at the moment. But I noticed yesterday, and I don't know why it's taken me this long to notice, the lack of aeroplane noise.
right.
Because we live quite near an airport,
Yeah.
and don't know why I hadn't really clocked it before, but just thought, God, it really is quiet. And although I don't want there to be a lack of aeroplane noise because I want us all to be able to travel, but there was something quite nice about it.
Oh, but you hear so many stories of people like discovering where those paths go. So they've walked past this entrance to a path for so many times, but it's on their way to the station or whatever, and they've been on their way to the station instead of exploring their backyards in a way, and found all these like little walks. But yeah, I think it's finding the little tiny things that are actually awesome. It's my birthday recently, and I got lots of flowers. Oh my God, it looked a little bit like a funeral parlor, but it was amazing. And I've tried to keep them all alive, so I've become a bit of a florist as well. I'm trying to eke it out. But yeah, the smell of flowers is amazing, and I'm now going to have them in the house the whole year because it's made me so happy.
Yeah.
And it's just flowers in the house. That's all it is.
Oh, perhaps we're all becoming a bit more grateful and with simple things. I love it.
So if you had an extra hour each day, what would you do with it?
I would learn how to do hair. So right now, people are really having a panic with their hair, and mine is growing quite out of control as well. So I would probably learn hairdressing because I think it's a skill that will never ever go out of fashion.
No.
I'm busy in the rest of my life. I'm packed full to the rafters on the other stuff. So whether it's not hairdressing, I'd learn another skill.
Nice.
Probably to code. If it wasn't hairdressing, I would learn how to code.
Code a robot that could then cut your hair. There you go.
Oh, that's even better. We'll settle that.
And how would your friends describe you?
I've often been called a Duracell bunny. Yeah, they describe me as someone that can bring a smile to a room, and I've always got energy for anything. I'm quite a yes person as well. So if anyone suggests anything to do something or go somewhere or try something, I'll definitely be the first supporter of like, yes, let's do it. But they also say that I try and cram a little bit too much in. But they also would say that underneath all of that extroverted kind of outer crust, and so they're all true, but I'm a little bit of a softy sensitive underneath.
Right.
So I guess I'm like a melted M&M, all hard shell and endeavour, and then actually gooey chocolate underneath.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
To be able to speak any language at any time. So I've worked in Switzerland for many years, and having worked in P&G in Switzerland, there were so many people from all corners of the world, whether it was, the bottom end of South America, Turkey, Russia, China, wherever, and they were all speaking English fluently, and we were all working together, and me and my fellow Brits were there still just speaking our native language and barely integrating into the Swiss kind of system of things as well. So, and whenever I've seen anyone kind of like flip into their second or third language and they can kind of converse and engage and kind of connect with people, I'm in awe. So just being able to speak any language at any point in time and just kind of connect with people, I think would be awesome.
Yeah.
We're lucky enough to work with this amazing guy called Richard Simcott, who helps us with bringing in new talent to the agency and sort of advising on language strategy for brands. But he speaks, he never puts a number on it, but it's definitely over 25 languages. And It's incredible. He's a hyper polyglot. He's got his own YouTube channel. And when he just switches from language to language, it's amazing. But also, I remember being in New York for a sort of client event, and he was with me, and he just chatted to about 5 different people, because there were so many people from, all sort of different places in the bars in New York, and he was just conversing with them all, and it was incredible. So I totally endorse that superpower. Amber, it's been absolutely brilliant to talk to you. We've got one last question, which is actually, is there anything that you wished that Wendy and I had asked you, or you can just change it with any closing thoughts if you want?
No, I don't think there's anything that I wish you'd asked. But what I would say is that you started off sharing all the brands that I'd worked on, which when you read it looks really incredible, because I have landed really lucky in my career. There are some big brands there, but I guess what you should really know is that underneath, I'm always trying just like everybody else is. So I'm lucky to have been where I have been, surrounded by some awesome people and learning a lot of stuff. But just like everybody else, I'm trying really hard to learn. I'm trying really hard to lead as well and get better. And like many people, it probably looks really super shiny. And on top, I told you as an M&M, that's a little bit the same with confidence as well, isn't it? So you can put on this like little hard M&M shell of confidence and look great, but underneath, you can be a big gooey chocolatey mess trying to hold it all together. And I think that's true from even just chatting today. It's been really lovely to kind of hang out with you guys. That's been really great. But underneath, everyone is always sometimes a little bit nervous, trying to fit in as well, a little bit of imposter syndrome. But actually, if you just kind of relax, like hopefully we all have here today, then it can feel really nice.
You've been listening to Genuine Humans, brought to you by The Social Element. If you loved what you heard, remember to subscribe, or you can find out more at www.thesocialelement.agency.